And today we have with us Berkeley Gamble, and she is the CEO and founder of Past Life. Designed in Denver, Past Life is a zero waster, small batch, slow fashion brand inspired by vintage and made from upcycled fabrics. Crafting timeless staples from solely dead stock fabric, we manufacture locally, as they say, ethically and sustainably because we envision a world where that's given and it starts with us. That's the motto that she carries. And by buying dead stock that's been discarded, they prevent it from going into landfills or being burned. And buttons instead of zippers is also a practice that they stick to, which are very difficult to recycle. And for every 2 trees harvested to make their buttons, the company plants 3. And they donate 100. They donated 100% of the proceeds recently to this collection they put out to protect our winters on Black Friday. 10% of those proceeds went over to protect our winters. Now that's kind of awesome because now you're doing social impacting and the products you're making are actually sustainable and healthy for the environment. Berkeley, how does it feel to run a business like that?
Uh, what an intro. It feels good to run a business ethically and the right way. It's definitely not easy to do things that way, but I go to feeling pretty good about it every day. So that's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's probably a little sometimes could be a little more expensive in certain aspects to run a business where you have to be mindful of what you're doing. And then it's like the philosophy of everyone with what is it? Amazon can do overnight, but you know, smaller businesses and businesses
Yeah.
that are working ethically, they don't cut the corners the way those companies, major corporate companies do. So I really feel like the expectation is so crazy these days on what a small business is supposed to deliver. And I'm so glad to see that even then you're still donating 10% of proceeds on a Black Friday to help get things together for this planet, which needs it so bad from the major corporates. So it's always the little guys doing all the work.
Thank you. At least we just got to start the trend and then the big guys can, join along because that'll be the standard. But it is such a true thing. Like we live in such a consumer society and like we now with Amazon and all these things, we have very much this mentality of like, I want it and I want it now. And, with my brand and smaller businesses, like there's a huge piece of education that's coming to the consumer that's like, okay, we need to be conscious about our purchases and like think about why we really want this instead of this like impulse buying. So even though, I want people to buy stuff, I don't want people to be impulsive about it. Like I want people to think about it and, make sure that this is something they want forever, not something that they're going to like wear once and then throw away. So, yeah.
Right, that's the thing. It's not throwaway fashion, and so that we don't throw fashion just out there as a word. I'm curious, is fashion something you just always wanted to do as a kid at Berkeley? Is that like when you were a kid, you used to play dress up and have all the outfits, or how did you get from okay, I'm this person in the world to I'm gonna start a fashion brand?
Um, I say that my grandma would totally have predicted this as a career path for me because I was like very creative, dressed with, I would always like take my dad's ties out of his closet and like wear a couple of them to school and like wear skirts over my pants. And then also was like ripping apart jeans and spray painting them. So I was into that when I was little. But then as I got older, I very much switched my focus. I was a college athlete. So that's kind of what I just got into and didn't think that I could like also be creative and do those things. Like I just was like an athlete. Um, and now like circle back, all the way to that childhood, I can see that this was something that was definitely maybe on the horizon for me. But I don't know, like I always have loved style, but I don't, have a background in fashion. Like I didn't go to school for it. And since starting this business, I had to learn so much because I didn't know anything really in terms of what things were called or any of that. So yeah, I think my grandma would say that I was going to be here, but I surely did not know. I thought I was going to be like a professional soccer player when I was a kid. So you never know.
Okay, so have you, just out of curiosity, have you already started to consider how you can make something in the soccer world a little more sustainable? Is that something that's crossed your mind yet?
So it's funny you say that, not that world, but my dad and my brother is like obsessed with golf. And all they talk about to me is how they're like, let's get a sustainable golf menswear line coming out. Come on, like all this stuff. They're like, past life the collective golf shirts. I'm like, okay, maybe one day, but right now I need to just get good at like what I'm doing now. And then, see what unfolds later on. But just got to focus on what I've started at the moment.
So past life, that's an awesome name. I'm so glad it was available. And I mean, it seems like such an easy target, but yet it's always the things that people overlook. And there's so many things that I can say about the name and how it matches with like vintage and just there's a lot of creativity in that that just went into it to have that long lasting branding. Now, given that people aren't necessarily going out as much these days, is your online ordering doing great with the e-commerce and everything? You have that set up and everything?
Yeah, so it's all set up and raring. I mean, when I launched the company, we're like when I created the company, I did not know that I was going to be fully launching in a global pandemic. So, I've had to change a bit of what I thought was going to happen when we were going to launch. So like online, especially in the day and age we're in, is like my only platform. So, just social media and the website at the moment. That being said, like still, it's been fun trying to build an online community. And, we've shown that that's really possible during this time. So yeah, I've been getting sales coming in still. And I just want to stay as a direct consumer brand. I never want to be sold in other stores. I want to be like exclusively from us, because that way I can ensure all sustainable practices throughout the whole thing. So yeah, right now it's just like building the baseline, building the community, getting brand awareness out there.
That's super cool. And do you find that building a community online as an e-commerce platform, are there some challenges that you've had to overcome that you kind of figured out, wow, I didn't know it was going to be this way to solve that problem?
Yes. Yes, of course. I have talked to like so many founders recently, and they all talk about how educating the consumer is really, really hard to do and expensive. And a huge part of my brand is educating the consumer. So, having to deal with really trying to hammer in with people like, okay, yeah, it's sustainable, like, but why should you care? And like, not just like giving people facts about stuff, like how you talked about in the beginning, the buttons over zippers thing, but like, why? And like, that's because like it's really hard to recycle zippers, but like, again, why do you care about that also? So that's been super interesting trying to get people to care about that. Also, like, our price point is higher because we pay for ethical production. And again, like trying to be on our website, we're really transparent and we like break down the cost of everything, which you don't see other brands doing that. So we show you like exactly where the dollar goes. And again, like that's just another like piece that really trying to be as transparent as possible is what has brought sales and brought people to become, essentially brand ambassadors for the company during this time.
So I'm starting to get a sense here. It seems like you really care about the people on your team. Do you find that maybe your time as an athlete is something that like helped you see like the power of teamwork early on in life?
Yeah, I like that. Usually people say like being an athlete made me like competitive and gritty for this business, which I kind of get, but I
For
also don't feel
sure.
as competitive as I once was one day. But the teamwork thing for sure, I feel like, yeah, I was a soccer player and you're only as strong as the weakest link. And I also just think like, people value being valued, and like that's what gives us worth. And what we do all day and like what we spend most of our life doing is working. And whatever group or team you're a part of, you want to make sure that those people are like happy with what they're doing. Yeah, so that's very important to me. Thank you for pointing that out. I like that.
I'm just doing the math here, trying to get a clear picture of why it is you run your business the way you do. And because I can tell you not only put care into the products you're making, but your team. Do you have rituals or anything you guys? Because I know you're probably working all remotely for the most part. I'm sure there's one or two things you have to like just has to be done in person here and there. But for the most part, do you have like regular meetings? Is there like a mantra ritual, or is there anything in terms of culture that you've started doing that you think maybe you're doing that's different from other companies?
Yeah, so I mean, we are not meeting regularly, obviously. I think like so with my team, I got really lucky and like every single person on my team is a woman under the age of 30 and they were all people that just like got brought into my life that I knew from before. However, a couple of people that I've worked with were from, speaking of like mantra, my like meditation community that I'm a part of.
Okay.
And you do when I work with like them, one of the girls, her name is Lucy, she built my website and um you just have like this interconnectedness because you do the same meditation. So you're like, we have the same brain kind of, or like she's in my head. And I feel like that with everyone that I work with, we just, yeah, like we're in each other's heads. Like we understand what's going on a little bit more. You know, I hope to be together one day and not be working remotely all the time. But everyone that, you know, is on the team does special areas like design or, you know, my production manager. I do like go in and meet with her for like fittings and stuff like that. But yeah, no mantra. But I have my own mantra. That's actually how I thought of Past Life the Collective's like the whole brand was while I was meditating. So
So there's a mindfulness aspect to the way you do business, and that's interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs, as you said earlier, they think it's all about being competitive and being gritty, and yes, you do need to have endurance, and you do need to have the get up and go, but there is a large need right now, especially to create that space inside. Is there a particular, like, do you do transcendental meditation or is it just your own thing?
so I do like version of transcendental meditation called Vedic meditation. It's really similar. I just learned from like a guru in person as opposed to like online, and I was given my mantra from her. Yeah, that's been like a very sacred practice for me. I've been doing it for like about 2.5 years now. And that was honestly like, you know, I had not thought of my business before I started meditating. But like I said earlier, I thought of the business idea while meditating. And I also think like consciousness is a huge part of, you know, being conscious is a part of my business, and it's also a huge part of meditation. And I come from the belief that people want to, you know, live a life of consciousness, and like, you know, the goal of your lifetime is, you know, to become enlightened at the end of it. And whether or not that happens, you know, is really entirely up to you and like how you live and go about the life that you're leading. And yeah, like I just want to inspire people to live and consume and act in a life in a world that's conscious.
I mean, I think it's super cool to know that when you finally tapped in, what was asking to be manifested was this business and the people that it brought you together with, and I mean, it just goes to show the ability of not only like bringing that to fruition, but also how small businesses really do impact the community at large. And you've created jobs, you've created a sustainable product. If you think of that as an accomplishment, it's huge. Most people, there's everyone needs to do something to earn a living, but small business owners really do change the world one
Oh,
step at a time. And it's super cool. I hope you recognize that. I hope you really do. That being said, I'm wondering, so you're doing well, things are roaring, you're kicking butt out there, and now 2021 is coming in, Q1, Q2. Is there anything on the horizon for you?
um, we there's things always on the horizon. You know, like I think one of my favorite parts about this job is the ability to like be super creative. So we have some creative campaigns that are coming out where I've sent product to people's homes and like some creative people, you know, do pottery or stuff like that. And also sent them like a disposable camera and they're gonna like, shoot themselves at home because we're all at home right now. And then we're gonna release some of those photos and like interviews on that. Additionally, during January and February, I'm going to be donating a percent of proceeds to restaurant relief because that seems very
Yeah.
aligned with what the world needs at the time. And that's another cool part about this business is I'm able to donate money or, you know, pivot slightly or focus on things that feel more aligned with whatever is going on. So that's something that I think is super important at the moment. And then in spring, end of spring, summer, we come out with another collection. So we've got a lot of stuff on the way for everybody. Yeah.
No, that's super exciting. Now, do you have an Instagram, right?
Yes, yes.
Is that where you'll be sharing some of your sneak peeks to the new collection?
Yeah, actually we like sometimes I'll even video us at fittings and stuff for the collection. So some people have already seen it, but yes, Past Life the Collective is our Instagram and lots of sneak peeks on there. And we're thinking about doing like an insider only like shop first kind of situation, especially if we're still living in like an online only world. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens.
like a newsletter sort of sign up for the exclusives?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah. So, do you prefer people to reach out to you via email or social media, something that's more preferred for you?
I don't care honestly either. I like love community no matter what. Customer service is like a huge part of the business, and I want to make sure that everyone's happy. Like at the end of the day, you are, even though there's all these other pieces and aspects to the shirt or whatever that's bought, you bought a shirt and you should be happy with it. And so wherever people want to reach us, we will be there quickly.
That's
So
cool. You know, Berkeley, it makes me wonder when you say things like this. Like, if there was somebody else right now who's sitting there going, "I should totally start a business. I should just pull the trigger." You know, what would you say to someone like that, being on the other side now?
screw it, do it, risk it all. I had heard like a statistic out there that was like only 1% of entrepreneurs actually like go for creating their idea. And that was my moment of being like, okay, and I will be the 1%. Let's go. Let's do this. And I think like there's just no rule book. Like you just figure it out. You take one step after the other. There's no point in like getting overwhelmed about all that needs to be done or all that you don't know, because at the end of the day you figure it out. Like that's just the truest form of it, is you figure it out. So do it.
You know what? That should be a shirt. Screw it, do it, risk it all. You should make that into a shirt. You know. Here I am trying to design. I'm gonna stay in my own lane and stay advanced.
No, that's great. That's great. I'm not sure that's like, we don't really make graphic t-shirts, but you know, maybe one day. You never know.
It could be one of those shoulder bags, you know, the little tote bags.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Do you do any reading? Like, is it articles? Did you subscribe to any articles or maybe books that really help you stay informed for business purposes, like on the
I
industry or
do.
things like that?
Yeah. So I subscribe to the Business of Fashion, which is uh I read that every single day. Otherwise, like in terms of sustainability and also like business stuff, I've read so many books.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I like have a whole list right here. It's just right.
So the business of fashion is really something that like you stick to that and stay in the industry know-how.
Yeah, just because I want to know what's going on. And also because like I originally did not really read it, but now that sustainability is trendy, um, it's something that I participate, like I want to see what's going on, especially because larger companies are starting to have sustainable practices. And although it's a really good thing, it's also threatening to
Right.
these like small sustainable businesses. So wanting to see, there's this, it's a term called, it's called greenwashing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
No.
that, but it basically means like, it's like marketing to people and lying about your green practices or your ethical or sustainable practices that aren't actually ethical. Like a good example of this would be like a large company saying, we came out with a whole sustainable line, but then really the truth of it was that they just had one shirt in the whole collection of 50 items that was made of organic cotton. So it's like,
Oh.
if that makes sense. Yeah. So that's a very
Sort of like food
popular.
products that are quote unquote organic.
Totally. Yeah. Like I feel like food kind of went through all of this and people can figure it out now. And then like the beauty industry kind of went through it and people can figure it out now. And now people are starting to figure out a little bit about clothes, but it's very much at the beginning. But anyway, so that's very much a thing. So I pay attention a lot to what's going on with that and just, trends and all that stuff, it matters. I gotta have a pulse on my industry.
See, and now I can see it's no mistake that you become an entrepreneur. Like you said, you didn't necessarily start out going to school for fashion, but I can see how your go-getterness, and your ability to develop a team and work with a team. That's all informed, I think, from your training as an athlete back in the day, and then overall your mindfulness and your sort of philosophy and being able to bring how you live into your business just goes to show how every entrepreneur leaves their fingerprint in their business, and it's just poetic in a sense to see the way that all comes together, and knowing that that's really where you're pushing and you stay educated. That autodidacticness, that's exactly what an entrepreneur is supposed to be. And you broke the rules, you did it your own way. People are supposed to do this, supposed to do that. You're like, oh, I kind of just want to start a business, and you did. And that's what this podcast is about, and you're so chill about it. And that's probably from the mindfulness practice. Did you meditate today?
Oh yes, of course. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna do my afternoon meditation after this.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so now I usually do this towards the end of every episode. I'm wondering if there was anybody right now you could meet, given like the success of your business right now, whether by name or some kind of trade, who would that be and why?
Ugh, this is so hard.
No pressure, no pressure. Just if
I'm
you're a fan of
stressed.
somebody, something that could take your business to the next level, somebody in particular, maybe you're looking for a new hire, this is your opportunity to do it. Like if somebody's listening and they happen to be a web developer, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, if I could meet the Elon Musk, that would be, yeah.
Really? Nice. That's the first
Yeah,
time
I know
someone
that's
mentions him.
really, well, I know he's mentored some really cool businesses that have turned into spectacular, like a really cool brands that have, blown up a lot. And he's a very innovative man and he thinks outside the box. And I like that he's not focused about rules. And that's
Super
I'm
awesome.
very much like you create your own rule book. So I more people in my life that create their own rule books, I feel like.
What was it? Screw it, do it, risk it all.
Yeah, screw it, do it, risk it all.
Is that your
I need
mantra?
to that's my mantra. I need to write that down in front of myself so I remember all day. And then I'm like, just manifesting this, keep going, keep going.
Awesome. No, this is great. I guess I would wrap it up by saying if you could have any words of encouragement for your younger self right now, looking back, what would that be?
Just one word.
Oh, it does. No, it doesn't have to be one word. Just any words of
Oh, like just
encouragement.
something to tell myself.
Yeah.
I would tell myself to be patient and to continue working really hard on self-development and
Mm,
personal growth. And keep chasing and learning about things that light you up. Yeah.
nice. I love it. No, that's great. It's great. Follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say, right?
Follow your bliss or screw it, do it, risk it all.
Berkeley, I love it. This has been an awesome conversation. Honestly, I could have kept going further, but I know we only have so much time to do this. But that doesn't mean we can't do a second, third, or fourth, 10th conversation. Yeah. So
I
thanks
love
for
that. I mean,
stopping
I'd
by.
be honored.
Yeah.
Thank you. You were a pleasure to speak with. I love it. So thank